Hey, so this is a bit of a strange video, but I really wanted to express myself because Beyond Tailia Book Feasibility of Fate is completely done, which means that the Beyond Tailia series is done, which means that Tailia is done. The book has been finalized 2 days ago as of recording this, and the book officially releases on August 27th. Every little thing that needed to be done has been done, and yeah, it's just done. It's factually done. And I just wanted to talk about it. I just wanted to talk about Tailia and what this means to me and all that stuff. In the thumbnail there's 4 years written on it. It's a bit of an exaggeration, yes, but it has been 4 years since I came up with the character of Tailia. Or the very first version of her. She wasn't even called Tailia, she was called Tai. It's been 4 years since that drawing, and it's been 3 years since the first novel. And now, well, we're in 2024 and it's actually over. For these characters, for this story, I guess, there's nothing more. When I finished the original Tailia series, I knew there would be a sequel series. When I finished Game of Tailia, I wasn't sure if there was going to be a sequel series, but I had one in mind which eventually got greenlit. But now that I'm done with Beyond Tailia, I have nothing because it's all completely tied up. There's nothing more for these characters. There's not another story. It's actually over. And it feels very weird because that means that Tailia has been a thing in my life for 4 years and it's now officially in the past. Like, I am moving on from this. Tailia and Phoebe is something completely different and I'll talk about this later, but Tailia is done. It feels crazy to think about because when I was coming up with ideas for the very first novel, they were very different. I had a lot of things. It was a bit messy. And I just thought, I'd do just one book. I might not even publish it. I just figured, yeah, why not? Let's just spend my time doing this instead of like an RPG Maker game again. And then I published that book on July. And I was pretty happy with it. It had some mistakes, obviously, but I thought it was fine. And then about a month later, my mind just clicked and I knew I wanted to tell a story that was going to last 4 books. So as the months passed, I wrote the second book, then the third. When I was writing the 4th one, I started coming up with a new series in mind. And again, the conditions I had for this series was that I get an antagonist I'm very happy with and a concept I'm very happy with. Otherwise, I would have done the sequel series. And I had both of those things. So when I was finishing the 4th book in the original Tailia series, I have some teases, some little connections that would get linked in the sequel series. It's not something I usually like to do, to be honest, but in that case, it worked pretty decently, But yeah, and then it was Game of Tailia time, which was probably the worst series to work on. I'm not saying I don't like it. On the contrary, I think each series is better than the one before. I like the original Tailia series. I really like Game of Tailia. And I unironically love Beyond Tailia. But the production for Game of Tailia was hell. It was a calm year for me, even if it was an important score year. But the thing is that it didn't feel important because of a whole bunch of reasons. But I got my year and all that stuff, so we're fine with this. But the thing is that my mindset was, I have everything on my mind. Let's just write. The problem is that I didn't write what I had in my mind as a plan. So I just kept going and going and going. It was a huge rush. While still trying to keep the actual books not rushed. It was a hellish production. And I'm still processing the fact that it actually went relatively well. Like in terms of continuity, in terms of logic. The series makes sense. Surprisingly. But yeah. If you're a writer, plan your shit out because it's not going to turn out well. It's going to be chaotic for you and for the actual writing itself. I was dumb when I made Game of Tailia, but I still think I managed to make it as good as possible, and I'm very happy with it at the end of the day. More so than I was with the original series. And I was actually fine with ending Tailia here. Even when I came up with bits of Beyond Tailia back in March of last year, I just thought they were just ideas. I didn't think they would turn into a full-blown series. Even if I was hoping that they would. The thing is that it wasn't exactly certain, is all I'll say. But yeah, so for Beyond Tailia, for 2 whole months, I planned the crap out of it. Which is the thing that you should do. as a writer. You should plan your shit out, as I've said. And then in July, Beyond Tailia was officialized. Not publicly, but it was officialized and kicked right into production. And I think Beyond Tailia was probably best writing experience I had, in the sense that I knew what I was doing and I knew it was going to take a while. In total, Beyond Tailia is 17 months of production, from the planning phase to correcting the last words of book 3. It took an enormous amount of time compared to my usual work, but I was completely fine with it, and I am extremely happy with the final result. My favorite book is probably the second one, but I do really like this entire trilogy, especially because of the personal aspect it has. Because Games of Tailia was a lot more of a grand threat, a grand setting and all. Even if the actual conflict was personal, what was happening in that story had larger consequences, larger stakes. Beyond Tailia has much lower stakes, and I really appreciate it. And in general, I'm very happy with the evolution of these characters and the dialogue, the antagonist, even the action scenes. They're probably some of my favorite I've ever written. But yeah. And as I was doing Beyond Tailia, I also went back and essentially rewrote like all of the books that came before. Like, I corrected Games of Tailia like a second time, so they are much better now. And I reworked a ton of the original Tailia series with the writing knowledge that I now have. So the books that are published right now that you can buy on Amazon, they are much better than how they were back when they first released. I know this is a practice that's not really seen as a good thing. You know, when something is published, you want it to stay the same. But I felt free to do that, essentially because no one buys these books, so no one would notice. And if it helps to just make them better, then might as well. But now, like as of now, right now, I am very happy with Tailia as a whole. Even Tailia Book 2, which I've always said is my least favorite, even that one I still like somewhat. But yeah, 4 years. 4 years of having these characters in my mind, and 3 years of just writing and writing and writing. I took a lot of breaks, obviously, but still. And now, it's completely done. Beyond Tailia Book 3 is releasing in just 2 days now, and I gave my characters the ending I felt they deserved the most. So yeah, I don't think it's going to do well, obviously. Like, as an indie writer, that also sucks at marketing. These books don't get attention. They just don't. And I'm fine with that, honestly. I get to write in peace is what I'm trying to say, you know? Like, I just write the things that I want to write. I just push these characters into the direction I want them to. It's quiet, but it's a good kind of quiet to me. And now that Tailia is completely done, it feels a lot more rewarding in a way. Obviously, I'm still hoping some people discover these books. And yeah, even if personally, again, like on my point of view as a reader, the Tailia series is okay, Games of Tailia is cool, and Beyond Tailia is great, you know? But still, who knows? I don't know. I don't really care, because the thing I get the most is owning these books physically, you know, just having them in real life, and I get to stare at them, I get to just hold it and be like, I did that, I made that. Sure, nearly nobody knows about them, but I made that. It's an actual book, and I don't care if it's self-published. I don't care if it's something that I already know because it's imprinted in my memory at this point. I have it. I did it, and I'm forever going to be grateful that I did. The end goal was always to just have this physical, not collection, but just a physical representation of my writing. And I'm forever going to cherish all of the books that I have, and I'm super happy. And I cannot wait to get Beyond Tailia Book 3. It's going to be probably the most surreal book after the first Beyond Tailia book and the first Tailia book in general. I'm very excited. And yeah. Going back on Tailia and Phoebe, you need to realize, again, I think I've made it clear in the presentation video, Tailia and Phoebe is extremely different. Even the writing process is going to be different. Everything about it is different. It's so disconnected from Tailia while still being in the same universe, which is why I consider it its own separate thing, you know? So Time and Phoebe is always going to be different than those 4 years of work. And I'm very excited to possibly have the chance to write it, because again, it's kind of like Beyond Tailia, where I'm planning it out, I'm getting ideas, but I don't know if it will actually happen. I agreed to Beyond Tailia a few months after I started planning it out, so who knows, maybe Time and Phoebe will truly become a thing. But if not, then I'm fine with ending this writing journey here. I'm totally fine with that. 10 whole books with a constant evolution of these 2 main characters, and I'm so freaking happy. I really am. You can check out all of the books on Amazon right now in paperback or Kindle, and Beyond Tailia Book 3, The Melody of Fate releases on August 27th. So yeah, do whatever you want, I guess. Personally, I just have to publish the book, and then I buy the book, and then I get the book, and then it's forever going to be concluded to me, this whole journey. This doesn't feel like 4 years, it just doesn't, but that's just a fact. So yeah, thank you for listening to me rambling, essentially. This isn't really a video, there's not a lot of editing, there isn't a coherent structure, it's just me talking about finishing this whole thing. But I'm just happy, you know, I've been writing this, again, for 3 years, I've been coming up with this for 4 years, I wrote 10 books, and all 10 of those books are finished, so give me this, okay? I just really wanted, I just had to talk. So yeah, thank you for watching, and see you soon.